Hello, my friends, and welcome to this course on how to get a job in software sales. As I really think about why am I creating this course, it honestly really comes down to, in many respects, I shouldn't be here. I grew up not a good student in school. Always assumed that, my C plus average kind of meant that I was always going to be, an average employee, was always going to make the average amount, and that was going to be my life. When I found out that the average household income then was $55,000 per year, I vividly remember that moment. I vividly remember thinking to myself, I'm underperforming my peers. If the average of my peers will be making $55,000 a year, my target should probably be about $50,000. If somehow someday I made $100,000, to me that was like I could retire. And that's kind of the mindset I grew up in. I started out my career working in food service primarily, going between jobs, getting paid, between $8.50 and up to $12 an hour, depending on where I was working. And there's a sense in which I always kind of thought that was going to be my future. I remember thinking through, okay, I'm working at this restaurant. How many years from now am I going to be at this restaurant? And then at one point I decided, you know what? I'm going to try my hand at leadership. I'd always been told I was going to, or I should at least, end up in law enforcement. But ultimately ended up as a manager at Target making $16 an hour. And if I'm honest with you, I was ecstatic about it. I had just graduated with a college degree, sure, but not a worthwhile degree. I majored in psychology. My first job during/out of college was as a manager at Target. And again, I was on track to make $35,000 a year, approximately. I'm not good at math. Wasn't then, still am not. And then I began to realize, okay, I feel like I'm working really hard. And I just got passed over for a 50-cent raise. That honestly did not sit well with me. I was working 40 hours a week, and then I started thinking long term. The promotion to go from where I was to where I wanted to go, would have taken me from about 35,000 to about 52,000. However, I would have needed to go from 40 to 60 hours of work per week. It was at that point that I began to question, what am I doing? Where am I going? And a lot of the people that I talk to who I've mentored through the same material that we're going to cover today, a lot of people are in that same boat. They've kind of reached a point where they realize, you know what? I don't particularly enjoy what I'm doing. There's a sense in which I don't even know how I got here. Some friend's recommendation, just kind of stumbled into it. And a lot of people find themselves, they get into what they know, and then they bounce between jobs making a difference of, say, 50 cents to $1 an hour. And especially with inflation going up, especially with cost of living going up, it's just flat out not cutting it. And so, I guess, in short, the reason I'm making this course is because I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be able to make as much as I'm making, or at least I never thought that I would. And I really want that same thing for you. See, what I have found is when I mentor people through how to get a job in software sales, what I find is they oftentimes, those that I'm mentoring, they've come to believe that they and their time are only worth fill in the blank with how many dollars per hour they're earning. They are only worth $15 an hour. It's no wonder that depression is on the rise, suicide is on the rise. Like, why? I don't know. Why wouldn't it be? If we believe that it's always going to be this way, and the way that it is not going to give us the kind of life that we want to live, that's a really depressing thought. And the thing I love most about mentoring and pouring into people in this kind of a context is the amount of light bulbs that go off in people's mind as they begin to realize my value doesn't come from X amount of dollars per hour. The value that I contribute to this company is not what dictates my value. Because while some people start out making, before I coach them, before they've gone through this course, they'll start out by making, say, $20,000 a year. And then they'll, at their next company after this course, they'll be making $75,000 a year. Who they are and the value they intrinsically have as a person has not changed despite a $50,000 gap. But when we know that the value that we are receiving for our work is far less than the life that we want to live, and we're not enjoying the work, it's tough. It really is tough. I have been there, and I guess what I'm trying to say is that's why I made this course. Because at this point, I have mentored a number of people. I've had a lot of opportunity to see that light bulb go off in people's eyes as they begin to realize not only how much potential they have and begin to believe it, but as they begin to shift their mindset over how to command value with your time. And strategies as far as step-by-step strategies for how to get a job in software sales, like, it lights me up. It makes me so excited being able to mentor. However, I've gotten to a point where, frankly, I don't have the bandwidth to mentor everyone one-on-one in order to get them into a software sales role. And so this course is an attempt for me to be able to help you and more people to get a career that works for you, to get a job that you can actually live off of, that you can not worry about if I get married and my spouse wants to be stay at home. What about when we have kids? Can I even afford to have kids? Not to mention potentially wanting to buy a house. $20,000 is not going to buy you a house anytime soon, $20,000 a year. In fact, a recent study I saw from, I think it was either Princeton or Pepperdine, they were saying in order to have any money left over at the end of the year, the average household needs to be making $75,000 per year. Even making $75,000 per year, and by the way, this was only 1 year into COVID, so before the inflation started spiking as much as it had, the $1,000 extra could be used for investing / retirement, i.e. getting ahead, or vacation. Now, if you're working super hard throughout the course of the year, it's gonna be really hard every single year for, say, 20 years to not spend a dime on vacation. Even if you do that, you still only have $20,000 to do something with. And so this isn't just about getting you from making $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 a year to helping you earn $75,000 a year. My goal is to help you not only learn to look in the short term, but also look forward into the long term. Where are you trying to go, and how much is it going to cost? And what kind of lifestyle is it going to take for you to be able to get there? If software sales ends up being a great fit for you, wonderful. I love hearing that. If not, that's great too, because the reality is a lot of the skills that we are going to be covering in this course are going to be transferable to any other job that you would go through the interview process with, the application process with, etc. So I'm really looking forward to walking you through this course today.